Welcome into the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from the Murder Capital entitled Gigi's Recovery. They released that on January 20th. This is the sophomore effort for the five-piece from Dublin and the follow-up to their 2019 debut, When I Have Fears. Man, this band is outstanding. If you haven't heard of these guys, both of these records are worth a listen. You can do it in either order, but I really enjoyed the last few days checking out both of these projects. I remember hearing these guys, obviously living in Ireland, loving the post-punk scene that's coming out of that area right now, just the way it's burgeoning. It's I feel kind of ashamed that I missed these guys, but better late than never. Totally worth checking them out. What I love about that scene in the UK right now, think of bands like Fontaines DC, think of Idols, Black Midi's another great example. Stylistically, that band, much more frenzied, much more chaotic. But what I like about all these bands is that I think they've really opened up that post-punk label. And the thing I noticed the most is the way that a lot of these outfits are incorporating jazz. And there's a ton of jazz influencing this new record, Gigi's Recovery. Dearman Brennan, let's talk about him first. His drumming, outstanding, loving the influence there. And Gabriel Pascal Blake on the bass, really a great dynamic that exists between the two of them. These five guys have been together basically since the inception of the band. There was, I believe, two brothers that started off with the band, but as far as the albums go, this lineup has been present on both of them. And so I like the consistency there. It's one of those things that I really hope that just based on the quality of the music and the dynamic that these guys stay together. They're guitar players, Damon Tuitt and Cathal Roper, the exchange that's there. I really, I think of bands like Interpol. I think of bands like The Strokes. I love the interplay of the guitars. And more often than not, Gabriel's bass work really, in a lot of ways, is kind of simple and really just allows that guitar exchange to be the highlight. So I dig the way that these guys, when they're putting together a composition, recognize what they're trying to do, what needs to be the focus, what needs to be the backseat. Oftentimes I feel that with the band, you get conflicting egos and you get maybe muddled sounds sometimes. There's just too much bass, too much guitar, too much going on at one time. And with as much as there is going on in all of these compositions, it never feels like that. It never feels like it's overwhelming or that it's too much. And James McGovern, his voice, I can see the comparisons to the post-punk genre as far as I love his bass-driven baritone. Definitely comparisons to Ian Curtis. It's the lyrical content as well, certainly personal and kind of dark in that regard as well. But these guys also not shy about approaching social issues, talking about things like mental health, talking about just poverty and the overall lack of resources to help combat these issues. And so I dig that, they're all about facing these things head on. It definitely matches the style of their music and what they're working with here. And this is a band that they have a date at Coachella here in a couple of months. And we were talking about Freya the Dragon last week, but I think that this is an outfit that you're going to hear them a lot in 2023. I think that performance at Coachella is going to expose them to a lot of people, and all of those people are going to become real big fans of this outfit. They do have a tour lined up, a bunch of dates before that in the States, so that's pretty cool. They're not coming anywhere near Arizona. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're coming to Utah and Colorado, but it's still pretty far away from Phoenix, which is more where most bands end up. So I do know that the Denver show's the day after my birthday. You might see me up there to check these guys out because I'm dying to. I absolutely love what they're putting together. And these compositions, the great thing about their style too is I'm hearing different bands within each track. And kicking off with the opening track, Existence, I really like the low droning synth. It evolves into this evocative melody, and then the vocal enters during that process. James's voice is almost monotone versus the baritone at this point, but it's working aesthetically. I really like it. And the jazz-driven percussion's excellent, the way that opens up. But I'm feeling a band like Sigur Rós in this opening track is what really hit me at first. And I love the way that this song just sets the pace for this record. It's 12 songs, 45 minutes. It feels like a lot. It's probably one of the fuller 45-minute experiences that I can remember in recent memory. Anyway, the second track, Crying, has got this great jazz percussion, light synths that work through the backdrop, and it takes on a rock and roll feel as it works through the song, but I love the way that that jazz drive rules. But as this thing approaches the end, the guitars really take over and finish strong. It's another great composition. Both of these opening tracks, Existence and Crying 1 and 2, big tracks, big way to open up this record. So liking that dynamic as well. Return My Head, your third track. This is one of those tracks where I'm talking about that guitar interplay and where it's really working well. Great little intro. All the elements musically are coming into work, and in a minimal way too. I dig that as well. But the percussion fills out. The verse and the chorus is just catchy as hell. Everything about this song is super catchy. Simple bass riff, great guitar exchange. Really enjoying this a lot. Ethel is your fourth track. Opens up with bells and this really dope riff. There's elements of grunge, a little bit of shoegaze. And really, Sonic Youth was the band that came to mind when I heard this riff. But great vocal element as well. I love James McGovern's voice on this particular track. And when this thing finally hits the coda, it plays with you. And it just like you're waiting for it to come, and when it hits, it comes just at the right time. It's very nicely put together. This stretch of songs right here is strong. The Stars Will Leave Their Stage is your fifth track. Dope lo-fi intro. I love the synth vocal here. This is probably one of the darker, moodier tracks on this record. The percussion enters nicely, and then there's like this shift to this like bossa nova feel like 2 minutes in. Then the synth hits in this thing. This thing is dark. I really enjoyed it for that reason. Great dynamic here. Belonging, your sixth track, light undulating synth, pretty vocal. First moment of balladry, I feel like, on this record. You get just kind of this soft, slightly lighter, slightly intense feel. But, it doesn't last too long, because then these synths hit and they're just freaking unnerving. It's wild, the dynamic, the way that the song starts off, and it feels like a moment of respite. And then it's just, right back to this pretty intense experience. And I'll say that this record, overall from start to finish, even in its mellow moments, is intense and pretty brooding. The Lie Becomes the Self is your seventh track. This is a great song. Such a sick opening riff. It's great vocal. Just really love the jazz feel that takes hold throughout this. The midsection throughout this song is phenomenal. Probably the reason it's my favorite. I'll just go ahead and say it right there. Definitely a great track. 1,000 Lives is your eighth song. It's like a little bit of breakbeat here, and dark wavy synths. Guitar is stellar when it enters on this track. Vocal, another excellent compliment to all those other musical components. Very nicely done there. We Had to Disappear is your ninth track. Vocal dominates the intro with some light guitar work, and then frenzy percussion builds in. I really just Dearman is just absolutely stellar in that regard on this record. But then it chills out, this thing. You get a bit of jazz, a little bit of funk, bounce in the beat. Another really nice track. Only Good Things, your 10th track. It's a jaunty alternative rock feel. Nice change of pace here. Little transition coming off We Had to Disappear. Kind of a doo-wop thing going on here as well. There's a lot going on in this track. It was pretty interesting trying to kind of identify what exactly everything that's influencing that particular track. And then your title track, Gigi's Recovery, this is a big closer. I really dig the droning synth that opens almost like an alarm. And then the bass, the percussion, a bit of guitar, everything that just builds in is just exquisite on this track. It's so nicely done. More music that builds in and develops, and then a coda that it takes off brilliantly. I love the keys that are incorporated into this song. It backs off a little bit. And then you get your final track, Exist, which is this short acoustic outro, but I absolutely love what's going on. And before we leave you, I just want to leave you with these lyrics because they're so good. This last track, he just says, "New feeling, revealing it. I'll stay committed. I'll make it stick. This morning took ownership to stay forever in my own skin. Existence changing, existence changing, existence exist." And then he repeats that refrain. It's pretty good stuff. This band is remarkable. I think these guys, just so much potential. Really excited for their talent. And just the influences that they've had, the people that they've had the opportunity to work with. It makes me excited for some of those other producers that are going to want to reach out to these guys. If you're at Coachella, go check these guys out. It's going to be worth the show. I guarantee you they'll probably be one of the better bands that you see there this year. We're going to vinyl please this thing. Hope you find this review helpful and hope you enjoyed this record. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help Keith, MB, and I blow this project up in 2023. Tune in to the live show on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.